Hi. This is a commentated speedrun of Octopath Traveler 2 Galdera by me. I got this run a few days ago and I thought it was pretty good, so I've decided to do some commentary over it. So the way combat works in Octopath Traveler 2, enemies have a certain amount of weak points you need to get through, and then they are put into a period of vulnerability, where you can boost your attack, so every turn you get some more boost points, and by using them you just make your attack stronger. And so by charging those boost points, you can get a stronger attack and hit them while they're vulnerable. But the alternative is, you can also use those boost points to try and have an easier time breaking the opponent. So it's kind of getting a mix of breaking and boosting in to get the best possible combat. So the other main sort of gimmick of Octopath is that the game kind of takes the stories of 8 different characters, each with their own storylines and each with their own abilities. So there are 8 protagonists. And we can start off anywhere we want. So the first one we start off with here is Throné's story. So Throné is the thief. It's a class mainly based around going pretty quick in terms of actually having the in-game speed stat, not just speedrun wise, but actually having a good speed stat. And so in this fight, we have to get through 3 enemies. The first 2 are pretty poor in terms of the shield points, but there's one with 3, so rather than trying to get a break on it, we instead aim to just to boost on that enemy and kill it from there. So yeah, that's the first little section of fights there. Those were okay. I got another encounter in there which isn't great, but it's whatever. So this run is mainly taken into combat phases and also into exploration phases, or just moving around. So this is a bit of just exploration, progressing the story a little more without any combat sections in between. So we learn about Throné and her kind of role in the world. She is part of this criminal gang called the Black Snakes, but she wants out. She wants to leave that life behind her, and that's what her story is all about. But before we can do that, we have to go on a little mission to this place called the Diamande Estate. Find a guy there, beat him up. But before we can do that, we need to steal some items. So in addition to having a full set of different skills, each traveler also has a different set of path actions they can take. So since she's a thief, Throné can steal things from people, and also can not assassinate, ambush them. So we saw the ambush in the sewers there, and now we're doing some stealing while we can in this section here to just get us prepared for the first boss fight. So stealing a bunch of soul stones as one of our main things. So soul stones basically just do a set amount of elemental damage, no matter what level we're at. So it's a good way of dealing good amounts of damage while still remaining on a lower level. And we're also stealing some items that we can sell for just money, just some money items. So that antique coin we stole from that boy, we can sell it later on and just get a bunch of money out of it. So there's an example of ambushing again in the Diamande Estate, so we can get past its guard. And yeah, in here there is another chest with a Shadow Soulstone, so dealing dark damage. Just a set amount of dark damage. So what I do here is I break the enemy with a boosted dagger attack, so I hit him twice with the dagger, and then I flee immediately. So when all the enemies are broken in a fight, you can escape 100% of the time. It's a guaranteed escape for free, which is a very nice way if you can break the enemies. It's not always possible, so sometimes you just have to wing it, but yeah. So here is the first actual proper boss fight this run. This is Pyro, our friend from earlier. But now we are fighting against him. I won't bother going into the story since we do none of it here. But we get some soulstone damage and then break him with 4 sword attacks. Do some more just throwing soulstones onto him. And we learn about another mechanic new to Octopath 2 in this game. So this is called Latent Power. The way it works is basically after taking damage / breaking opponents, each different traveler gets their own unique kind of combat ability they can use. So for the case of Throné, what she can do is she can move twice in a turn if you use her latent power. So do an attack, so use latent power, do an attack, and then do another attack. So it can be good for a lot of things, such as getting a bunch of damage on a vulnerable opponent, like we do there with a Pyro. Or it can also be good if you need to like spam items or debuff an enemy first. Throné's got some pretty strong debuff skills as well. That's another part of the Thief class, getting some debuffs on enemies. And yeah, using some more, just doing a regular attack and then fleeing. That's also beneficial here since it fills up latent power a little bit, which can be useful on Throné since, yeah, Throné's latent power is very good. All the latent powers are very good. I would say Throné's is definitely up there as being one of the stronger ones, at least to me. It feels pretty damn powerful. So now this is our first little sort of exploration section of the run. So the world map is actually pretty sizable in this game. There's a lot to see, a lot of places to go. And by just going into these areas and running straight out, like with the New Delsta Anchorage there, or this abandoned village here, which I unfortunately got an encounter just before getting into, we can now walk back there whenever we want. So we can now walk back to New Delsta, which is where Throné was from. We can now walk back to the abandoned village whenever we need to. And so by doing that early, we can just get what we need whilst we're doing that, and then we're extra prepared for anyone we need to fight. So going through the Southern Cape Cold Snows, we will meet our first other traveller on our journey. So so there are 8 different characters, and we can meet them as we go across the world and complete their different stories as we're just going along. So this first one here, we're gonna add to our party is Oswald. He is the Scholar class, which is very elemental, sort of just like the magic-based class. So he can use fire attacks, he can use ice attacks, he can use lightning attacks. And one of his path actions is being able to mug people for their contents. So Throné can steal. However, you can also get them all, and certain NPCs are only obtainable at nighttime. So like this guy, it's easiest just to get him at night, and you don't need to deal with any like RNG, since Throné's is just based on chance. You saw I missed an 80% steal in the start of the Pyro split, or yeah, a little bit into the Pyro split. So now we can walk back to the abandoned village and try and do some more just flat RNG things. So at nighttime, this place becomes a black market, and there is about a 10% chance of the like group there to be clerics. And what clerics can sell, they can sell you a bunch of soul stones, and not just the small ones we were using on Pyro, but actually quite just like medium-sized ones as well. So we got the clerics fairly quickly there, and we just sell all our items and then buy a bunch of soul stones. So 2 ice small, 2 ice medium, 2 fire small, 1 thunder small, or 2 fire medium, and then 8, I think, light medium. We just spend the rest of our money on light medium. And then we can run into this level 20 area when we're like level 3 or 4, get an encounter, and then what we can do is we can drop a ice soulstone and just kill it. And that's all the fight needs. It's a really nice way of getting some good XP early on. And what I got there, that is an Octopath. So there is a small chance of encountering Octopaths just going around the world. And the beauty of those are they are very rare, and they are very hard to hit. However, they give a bunch of extra XP and JP and money and all that stuff. So we are very well equipped now for... or yeah, we've got a solid amount of XP now at the start, which lets us learn a few skills at the start. So how skills work in this game, we have a form of XP called JP, which we can use for any amount of skills we want on any different classes. And by the more skills you unlock, the more like passive skills you unlock. So we unlock 2 on Oswald there to get the passive skill evasive maneuvers, and what that does, it reduces the chance of random encounters out in the wild. So it's a very, very important skill, just to reduce the chance of yeah, encountering these annoying things, or not completely removing them, but making them a lot less likely. Being able to sometimes avoid screens of them, and yeah, just making everything a lot nicer in general. And we also unlocked some skills on Throné. So HP Thief is one of the skills we learn. That's just a decently strong dagger skill, like nothing too special about it. And also another skill called Armor Corrosive. And what Armor Corrosive does, it's a debuff that reduces the foe's physical defense. So when we use it, they take more physical damage than they would have before. So that can be very, very useful in some certain situations, since we need to get that extra physical damage in to get the kill sometimes. It can be a very nice increase. And so with our new evasive maneuvers, we are going to use that extra like movability to go into this level 48 area, the Cavern of Waves. So if we run into anything here, they are gonna kill us. There is no way we can win. There's a slight chance we could maybe flee, but it's not likely. So what we go in, we go save, and then go to the title screen and load back in. That resets the step counter. So by doing that every so often, we can, at save points, we can just make it so we can go further without getting a random counter. And doing that is just enough to get to this chest here and get the JP augmenter, which increases JP gain, which means more class points, basically. More skills learned, and then more passive skills as a result of that. Unfortunately, I am very silly and forgot to equip it, but for a few reasons that doesn't really matter. Especially since I've already got the Octopath right now. So some more examples of just breaking a foe and running. So I guess whilst we're running through here, a little bit of walking, I should explain what the category actually is. So this is Galdera. Rather than like trying to finish any specific story or finishing like the any % full story of everyone's combined kind of thing, Galdera is the secret Superboss you can fight after doing a few quests, and is like the hardest fight in the entire game. It's meant to be a super big challenge, but basically the gimmick of this category is trying to do it with as little as possible. So we hardly do anyone's stories. So the entire basis around this route is just doing this section, doing this really hard fight with as little as we can. So this entire category is kind of just rushing to beat it as fast as possible if we can. Of course, we do need to still do quite a lot of preparation, since yeah, it is still very hard to beat, especially casually. But yeah, even in the speedrun, it needs a very specific setup in order to get a good fight, or a good consistent fight. Yeah, it's still crazy how quickly you can beat it and how little you have to do. There's a few prerequisites you need. You need all 8 travelers, you need to recruit all of them. A couple side quests. And we need to make a boat. we need to buy a boat. So speaking of buying boats, this is Partitio, the merchant. So once you've completed his chapter 1, you get the like kind of side quest route, kind of side stories, Scent of Commerce, and one of them lets you buy a boat at the end of it and travel around on the water. So that is something we're gonna need to do at some point. So Partitio is the merchant. This class is like pretty cool actually. It's got some solid defensive abilities with like being able to evade attacks. Got some solid support abilities with being able to donate BP, and also can be very good offensively with this skill called Hired Help. So what Hired Help does, we'll learn it in a little bit. You can basically pay money in order to get some guys in to attack for you. And they do a set amount of damage regardless of your level, so they're a really good way of getting good damage early on. So like the Soulstones, but yeah, instead it's just a flat price of money. So now we have recruited our 4th traveler. We now have a full party, so this 4th one is Hikari, who is the warrior. So as you might expect, that is very physical based, no elemental attacks, just pure physical damage. trying to get strong, trying to hit hard. Unfortunately, we don't really see much of the warrior's strength in this run. It's all about just doing as little as possible, and we don't really have the time to make the warrior into a super strong class. It can be very good with the right setups though, for sure. But yeah, Hikari is still useful to have in the party right now. So now our 5th traveler, this is Casti. We're not actually going to add her to the party. We're just going to leave her. We're not going to use her at all, really. Actually, Casti is, yeah, not that helpful to us. She is the apothecary class, which is kind of like a support class. So she has a few healing attacks, but can also get some pretty decent strength going as well. Some pretty strong attacks with the axe. And another thing the apothecary has to make it, or Casti specifically has, is the ability to concoct ingredients. So by using various items, we can give our party buffs or give the enemy debuffs, depending on which combination of items we use. And so that can be that will end up being very powerful actually in the Galdera fight, but not quite before that. Yeah, every character also has like a little battle skill as well. So every character has their own unique latent power, their own unique battle skills, and their own unique path actions as well. So Particio, for example, he can purchase things from NPCs. So like Throné's, except instead of getting it for free, you have to pay for it, but you're guaranteed to get it. And he can also bribe people to have them like assist him in combat, and also give some buffs in terms of like buying and selling, so he can like get more money from selling, or get some discounts on buying things. And Hikari can challenge people, and so like kind of fight them, just random NPCs, and then and also bribe. And also bribe to get information out of them. So we're going to be using some of Throné's stealing here to try and get these pomegranate leaves and this whimsical leaf. Unfortunately, this guy didn't quite cooperate as I would have wanted him to. Yeah, I got resisted twice there in this 80% skill, so what's 2 20% chances in a row. Kind of unlucky, but I make it up with some decent luck later, I guess. So now you have to run down here, get a 65% steal. So this lady here has a large wind soulstone, so a good amount of just wind damage you can put on the opponent, and we'll be needing that for a fight later. And we also go out of our way to get this this chest with the rainbow rainbow glass bottle in it. So now back to New Delster. One of the quests we were fully required to finish is this first one we got in the little tutorial section with this guy here called Al. So we didn't actually, I didn't actually go over it, but yeah, it just starts that quest automatically after leaving New Delster. So all you need to do is set the time to night. You can just press a button to toggle between night and day, and then fight this guy. He is very weak since it's just the tutorial quest, and we get his bag back. So from here we can go into this shed, and we can meet this guy called Akar, who is an inventor. And this will teach us another class. So we can now equip multiple classes. So we have the base class, so Throné Thief, Oswald Scholar, but we can also set a subclass to them. So the first one we unlock here is the Inventor, and the way we get new skills from that is not through JP, but like making items, just going over to him and giving him a bunch of items, and he'll make a skill out of them. And so we learn a couple there which are very useful actually. And we also learn the skill A Step Ahead, which lets everyone start like a turn before the enemy. So it basically gives you a free turn to do whatever you want. No enemy turns or whatever, and then yeah, straight into the next turn. And so it can basically let you just get everything you need to set up on that first turn and then go straight into the next with, yeah, feeling pretty strong. With no risk of like enemy turns getting in the way and messing up your strategy, which is really nice. Sebad's super broken. So we can see it there, we just get a full turn of just our party members. And it also means, so if you fail to escape, you just, yeah, you have that turn to just fail, no risk or whatever. Which is super nice. So running into an encounter here, rather than just going straight with a soulstone, we can instead, we have to instead break the armory to there, that guy there, and use a soulstone, since you get more damage up after you've broken the opponent. It's very easy to break though, since we have a lot of yeah, weapons that hit its weakness. So Throné, Oswald, and Hikari all can hit the weakness of it, which is pretty easy for us to do that. We also go over here so we can unlock another secondary job. So the one we're after over here is the Merchant, so Partitio's class. So we can now be running 2 people on Merchant at once. So we will be doing that quite a lot, since Merchant is a very strong class when set up properly. So yeah, just talk to that lady and we get what we need. We also challenged this guy. We're not actually going to fight him, we're just going to challenge him and flee straight away. By doing that, the step counter is reset, so that basically counts as a random encounter. But no risk of death, no having to use soulstones, no having to flee. Yeah, it's useful. So then make our way into Crackridge. We'll be revisiting this later, but for now we just get there and warp straight out. Go to New Delsta. My ability to go through the menu well with WSD is not great. I'm not very happy with how I go through some of these warps sometimes. So yeah, now we finish that quest with Al. That's one of the ones we absolutely need for Galdera. And then we can start making our way to Montwise, which is, yeah, where the split ends. Or go to Flamestretch and then Montwise. Hopefully get the flea here. Yep, first try. So Flamestretch, which is the next area we're going to be at, that is another one of our travelers, Temenos. That is where he is from. So I'm just walking through this. So when you're running, you obviously go faster, but there's more chance of random encounters. So sometimes it's worth just walking a little bit and not getting any random encounters than risking getting the random encounter and losing time to that. So on this next little section of walking, I kind of got a slightly silly experience. So I'll get my first random encounter about here. About here. There we go. So there's a Kate. That's similar to an Octopath. An Octopath, rather. In that it is pretty rare to find and gives a lot of XP and JP and money. So getting one there is like, okay, nice. You love to see it. And then, so I'll get an encounter along this bridge. Another Kate. This time a Culture Kate. So I can just drop another Soulstone on. And I get another heap of XP. That's like a 3% chance of that happening once. So twice in a row is an incredibly rare thing to happen. So I got pretty damn lucky there. Unfortunately, it's not the most important thing in the world in this category. Since you're not running like a particularly tight XP route or anything. It's just cool, okay? I get that, nice. So now I can just walk into Montwise. And this is a bit of where we actually do want to continue the story. So Hikari, we need to finish his chapter 2. So we can just completely skip everyone's chapter 1s if we want to. When we're recruiting them, we don't actually need to do those, which is super nice. But Hikari's chapter 2 is worth doing. So we're gonna mug this wealthy investor. We get some money items from this. So if we just drop a quick light soulstone, that's all we need. That's what we need to win the fight.
I've seen worse methods.
Then we can run down into the underground arena part of Montwise, and yeah, he's the warrior. We're gonna have to do a few encounters, so we can use some of the challenges here. His path action challenge, and these fights are all scripted. So 3 lance attacks here and then a soulstone, and that's all we need to get through this first fight. We also, in the menu, we set Throné as a merchant. Learned some skills and also gave her some passive skills. So the first passive skill we gave her was grows on trees, which increases the money we get after finishing fights, which is pretty important since we're going to need a decent chunk of money. And then the second one we go for is boost start. So what that does is it gives you 2 boost points at the start of battle, which, so Hikari has 1 right now, so starting off with 2 lets us get our most powerful attacks in just a turn faster, which can mean all the difference in fights like this where it's just everything's happening so quick and all your damage is getting done so quickly. Now, a second encounter, that literally all it took to get those three guys down was an ice soulstone. Zeto the Butcher takes a bit more effort, so we have to use a Thunder Soulstone and then 3 sword attacks, and then a Fire Soulstone. That's all we need.
There's no need for
so since obviously you're solo Hikari here, these fights aren't made like super difficult, since obviously if they were, you could get stuck pretty hard behind them. But also the fact that we have these soulstones which can just completely just do so much more damage than we should be doing at this point in the game. Yeah, it's super nice. So this guy here we're going to challenge now is called Bandalam the Reaper. His kind of thing, he's just gone hundreds of matches without losing. But he hasn't realized that we have a large soulstone we can chuck on him. So just going down, use the Wind Soulstone L, and that's all the damage he takes. But that's not all the fight he has in him. There's still a proper fight against Bandalam and the whole party now. So if we skip this cutscene, we're now into the proper Bandalam fight. And this one, he doesn't put much of a fight either. So Armor Corrosive would Throné to weaken him to physical damage. Use a combination of Particio and Hikari to get 6 lance attacks, and then just use a hired help guards, and that's the fight. That's literally all you need to do. So yeah, a nice little split there. A few seconds gold. So that is Hikari's second chapter done. We're now going to run back into the underground arena to sell the thing we mugged off of the other guy. And also to finish a little side quest. This one is not required for Galdera, but it gives us a very nice item at the end. So by ambushing this faint-hearted youth, we are then put into the arena to challenge Uranus. And what we can do, we can use Armor Corrosive on her, and then use a full boost hired help veteran soldiers. And that just completely demolishes her. She does not, yeah, stand a chance against that amount of damage just in one turn. And by doing that, we get this item called the Champion's Belt, which increases our physical attack and critical stat by quite a lot. And it also has the advantage of preventing you from being ambushed. So a few times there I got ambushed, which meant the enemy had a turn before us where they could just do whatever they wanted, which is, yeah, not great, especially in these high-level areas where enemies are just doing so much damage.
And so it goes.
So by doing that, we can just completely get rid of that risk and just be guaranteed to win everything, pretty much. So I fumbled the menu a little bit there. We're supposed to add Temenos to the party. I messed up. So Temenos is the Cleric. This is just the straight heal class, basically. He's got a few healing arts. He's got, yeah, a few things for supporting your allies. But it can also do some decent damage when set up properly, which I'll be demonstrating in this round. So now we're making our way up to Winterbloom. This is where another part of Throné's story takes place, but we're not gonna be doing it. Hikari's Chapter 2 is the only other bit of story content we do outside of
Cleaning time.
Oh dear.
oh my god, I forgot about getting super unlucky with those escapes. But yeah, in terms of the actual story, the only thing we do is Throné's Chapter 1, which we have to do. We have to do a Chapter 1 somewhere. And Hikari's Chapter 2, since it gives us access to that Champion's Belt. So Temenos' battle skill is this thing called Moonlight Judgment.
Play.
And what that does is it gives everyone a debuff, or every enemy a debuff at the start of battle. So Throné's gives every party member a buff, so Blessing of Darkness, and then Temenos gives everyone a debuff. So they can synergize quite well in that regard when you turn it to night just before an encounter starts. Just to really confirm you're gonna kill. And we also get to see the Inventor in action. So we put Throné on Inventor. The way that class works, its skills don't require the use of
Well.
SP or money or anything like you might see with other classes, but rather you can use it once and then you have to like recharge it. You need to spend another turn recharging it to go again. But since a lot of these encounters will only last a turn, that's literally all we need to do. We just need to hit it once and then run back. Which, yeah, isn't too unhelpful. So that one changeable catapult just chucks a full little bit of damage on, or a solid AoE attack to everyone with any like physical weapon type you want. So there are 6 physical weapon types and 6 magical weapon types that can hit different weaknesses, and then some moves just have the ability to hit any weakness because Lamau.
Well.
So yeah, using a full boost changeable catapult there to get rid of that encounter that we usually need a soulstone for. So now we're going to put Throné back onto Merchant. Since we're now approaching this like level 45 area in Gravel, this is where Oswald's final story takes place, or final chapter takes place. So it's pretty high level. So we need to make sure we are properly equipped. So we turn to night just before we get the encounter. It's more of a feeling. You can't guarantee when an encounter will happen, but you can get a feeling for it. So by getting just those hired help guards, we can kill that set of enemies there without having to worry about escaping or anything, and yeah, we get some decent XP and JP from it. So now we can run into Gravel. Here is where we will find another one of our sub-jobs, the War Master, I think it's called. Or Weapons Master or something. And basically, how that one works, it has every physical weapon type at its disposal. But in order to use a lot of its skills, you need to be having very specific weapons equipped that you can just find out in the world. So in Winterbloom, we got the sword version of that, so we can use the sword skill whenever we want with that class, but we don't actually need it. The most valuable thing it's for is actually selling. So what we do, go in here, buy some stuff for Cassidy's Concoct, and then we sell the Conqueror's Sword for, what is that, 100,000 gold? A lot of money, basically. So it can be very valuable in that regard. So we're gonna use that, using that a few times, and we also unlock some passive skills when we do that. So I don't know what I was doing in this menu. I was completely flubbing. So what we need to do, we need to hire this guy with Particio. What he does is with this guy, when he buys things, he saves a bunch of money on that. So this is where we buy the boat. And so by buying the boat with Particio, we save a bunch of money that way rather than selling the full price. We save like a quarter of the money, which will definitely add up, since we do need the the money for things like hired help. So by the unfinished vessel, we save 20,000 leaves, so I think it's 20% of the whole product. We can customize this. I'm not good enough at menuing to like do something funny, so I just place the order right away. That's good enough for me. And so we are now shown the boat movement. So there's a whole just open ocean section in this game, which is pretty cool, that we can travel through. We do need it to like get to some areas. For example, the final Galdera area. And yeah, we disembark and then immediately go back on to reset the step counter. So when you change over screens, that's also resetting the step counter. So things like entering encounters, like doing challenges, save quitting, changing screens, warping, that all resets the step counter. And so this is where I realized that I didn't put the JP augmenter on, and I was very silly for that. So we're putting the champion's belt on Temenos now, and giving Throné all her stuff. Learning a few skills on Oswald, so we can unlock the passive skill Extra Experience, which is another one on Scholar, which gives you extra experience. And we're also learning Hired Help with Particio. So he also has access to that broken skill. And so we can now do sometimes, say, fights with Throné uses Hired Help, and then Particio straight away uses Hired Help. Super nice. So we enter this like very high level area. What we're going to do, we're going to turn it to night just as we get the encounter. And what we can do is just use a full boost Hired Help guards. And get rid. That's all we need. And so at the end of this section, we have a chest with the Rusty Dagger. So that's another thing we can go to grapple for. We're not going to do it right away though. Going to wait a little bit before doing that again. But yeah, another source of money. So yeah, getting another Octopath, because I guess this run was just meant to be. I get crazy luck with that. So another heap of JP and XP, which definitely makes up for me forgetting to put on the JP augmenter until like just now. So I definitely appreciate that, since I would have been in a slightly annoying position otherwise. So now I'm going to put a step ahead back on everyone. Get everyone ready for this another high level section. So I do this because some enemies here are kind of bulky and need like a full party attacking in order to get the kill. Luckily here it doesn't actually matter, so I just defend and just attack with everyone. And then hide hub guards, and that is enough to kill.
I take what I want.
So we can now head to the end of this little dungeon. There is a boss fight in here we can do, but it's actually better for us to just go around the side towards near the end. And there's a chest here with this item called the Giant's Club. So that is a type of stave. So Oswald and Temenos' weapon type we can equip. And rather than being like elemental damage focused, it's very physical damage focused. So we can equip that onto Temenos and buff his changeable catapult, so his Inventor skill, with that quite a lot, since it just takes the damage of sword or of the Giant's Club. So we can demonstrate that here. Just use Temenos 1 boost, and it completely gets rid of that fight really easily.
Is not what I do.
Which is, yeah, super good. We can get loads of damage. So that one is just very physical rather than magical. So it's probably not the best overall, but it's got some niche uses like we use in this run, where we just get so much damage elsewhere, it's not really necessary to get a ton of physical. So yeah, just do a 3 boost hide hub guards and that is enough to kill this specific encounter.
I take what I want.
Another level 45 area, but not quite as bulky as the ones in gravel, thankfully. Just run up here into Merry Hills and then run straight out again, so we can warp here later. What we're going to do, we're going to run around the side to fight these foreign assassins. So these guys are pretty hard to fight. They do a lot of damage, and there's 4 of them, all with different weaknesses. So the best strategy here is to use Temenos and Throné at the start of each turn, using a mixture of defending and spring boots. And then use Beastlings, hired help. So what Beastlings do is they give you, or they hit the weakness no matter what. So they just, yeah. Just do a nice hit on the weakness. They give a lot of XP. And the other benefit of beating the foreign assassins is that we can now use them in hired help. So whilst the strongest we had before was the veteran soldiers, we can now add the foreign assassins to the mix, and they can be very, very good for us. The foreign assassins can be very, very powerful. They just do a bunch of dagger attacks, which basically hits the damage cap, and works as like a full heal for your party as well, both in terms of health and SP. So now we're setting up for these next few encounters. Gonna learn a few skills on Temenos to let him learn the skill Evil Ward, which is very powerful because it lets you escape encounters easier. Put him back on the Inventor. Also learn a few skills on Merchant with Oswald as well, so we can use those passive skills later. But yeah, primarily we want Temenos to run in first now. So what we're trying to do here is going through these encounters. We just want to kill them turn 1 really quickly with Temenos, so that we can get around 4,000 JP with Throné. So I killed the first one I get just to see how much JP I actually have. And it's quite a bit more than 4,000. I have, what? Yeah, 6,400 JP. Which means I can just flee from all these encounters. So Evil Ward lets you flee encounters more... makes it more likely to flee encounters successfully. Which can be a bit of a problem sometimes, especially in these high level areas. Is that we're just forced to either fight an encounter or just try and beat it, I guess. Try and beat it to the point. Which isn't exactly reliable. It's not a great thing to be wanting to do. So we can go into Psy and then run straight out again so we can walk there later. Yeah, just heading down to get some more items just throughout the world. So the first one we get is going to be around this corner and up the ladder. It's called a reinforcing gem. I believe it's in this one. So what that does is it fully refills your latent power gauge and gives you max BP. So you can basically go for your strongest attack on most characters. So like a boosted plus latent power thing, which is very good. And in this sand pit right here, at the bottom of it is a chest with an item called, or a type of sword called the Fire Starter. And what the Fire Starter does is it increases fire base damage. If the name didn't give that away. And so by putting that onto Oswald, we're able to increase the potency of his skills like fire, or fireball, firestorm, stuff like that. And just really get him doing good damage. Unfortunately, got an encounter just before this, but it's whatever. It's really easy to escape with Evil Ward, and we're no longer that low level anymore as well, which is nice. So it's a little helpful in that regard as well. So heading down to another boss fight, another optional boss fight. Gonna give boost start and step ahead to some of our party members. Unfortunately, we get an encounter just before the actual trigger for it. But it's just a quick flee, that's all we need. So this is the Lord of the Sands. So it's got seven shields, so we need to make sure we get through that as much as possible. Use a critical skill with Temenos, that makes all our damage that we use from this point critical. Which can be very valuable. And then defend with these two, so on the next turn they go fast. So I can use Hide Hub Guards to get through a bunch of damage. And then it's not quite dead, so what we can use is use our full boost Mystical Staff, and that hits the damage cap twice. Because it's a Giant's Club, which does a bunch of physical damage, plus 2 critical hits, plus like hitting a weakened, broken enemy, and full boost. So you're just getting loads and loads of damage that way. And it's enough to to get through. So the way damage capping works in this game. So there was a damage cap at 9999. However, what we can do is we can unlock a skill on one of the other classes which lets it go up to 99,999, which can be very yeah, we can get pretty close to that in this run even though we don't do all too much. And we also bought, we also found an item in that cave called the Scorched Bones Spear. That's sort of like the Fire Starter, and that increases fire-based damage, basically. That's its main thing. So when we put both the Scorched Bones Spear plus the Fire Starter on Oswald, we get a lot of fire-based damage that way. And it is a good way of just really buffing some of his skills. So now we are on our way to our 7th traveller of the game. This will be Ochette. She is the hunter. And we don't use her all too much, actually. And this is also where I realised I made a annoying mistake in this run. I just completely forgot to steal some items. But yeah, once I realise I'll just be able to walk back. So the item's called the Empowering Lychees. What they do is they refill the latent power gauge, and we can use them in the menu right now. So I used 2 small ones, and I'm like, wait, I'm supposed to have a large here, where did it go? And then I realised what I did, so I just did the rest of the menu. So take boost out these guys and add peak performance to Temenos. Which increases damage when at full health, which should be at all times since we're not really getting hit. Since most things will kind of just kill us, we need to make sure we are at full health. And we also steal an item from from that merchant there called Dispatches from Beasting Isle. That is needed to complete a quest which it's required for Galdera. So it's very important we pick it up. And don't forget about it, since, yeah, that's just one of the quests we need. And so I can give my Empowering Light to Ochet and continue on. So not like that big a time, that's still kind of silly to have done. It's whatever though. So now we're actually going to start killing these encounters as we come across them in Psy and Wallgrove. So the reason for this is we need Ochet to be at a certain level of JP before a certain point, so we need to actually do these encounters. We're not really using Ochet very much, so we just need to get her just that little bit of JP we need before we can go and unlock her skills properly. So we're going to run up to Wellgrove here. We get an encounter just right outside, which is fine since I need the encounters anyway.
Let's play.
Take this. Now it's done. Goodness.
So we can get the stuff for chat, run in, run out instantly. We don't need to spend much time in Wellgrove. And then make our way to the, like, most high level area of the, what's this place called? Is this Crestlands? Each area has like its own unique name. With like a low level area where you find your chapter 1s, like a kind of mid level area where you find your like chapter 2s and chapter 3s, and then a like higher level area where you get your final chapters in. And I'm pretty sure they either mostly follow or all follow that same format. Actually, there's a few that don't. But yeah, they mostly follow that kind of format. So yeah, that's the last encounter we need for Ochet, I believe. Oh wait, no, yeah. That's the last encounter we need in this little baby area. Then once we run through here, we will in the level 45 area, which is Cassie's final place, Timberain. So we learn the rest of the skills on Thief for Throné. That gets us our last passive skill, which is called Life in the Shadows. That increases our XP and JP gain at night. So we need to make sure all of our counters are done at night, so we get that extra little bit of XP and JP. So turn it to night just before I get the encounter. A Defender with Temenos. And then 3 boost changeable catapult, and that's all the damage. Just about to get those guys down. So pretty solidly quick there. Then just finish off running to Timberain. We're not actually going to warp out straight away, crazy. But we've got some stealing to do. We're going to steal these soul stones from this lady. Going to buy some stuff from some people as well. So yeah, in this run, there are like 5 travelers who are pretty well used, and then it's just like Agnia, Ochet, and Casti are kind of swept to the side a little bit. So it's mainly Throné and the boys who we like to use in this run for the most part. Alright, inquire from this person, get some information about a hidden item, and then we can buy from this ancient circlet. Then we can find the item. I think that's a magic nut. Yeah, magic nut. So nuts are items which give you permanent stat increases. So we find a bunch of them throughout the run. And yes, some are more useful than others. The main ones we like are ones that increase physical attack. I believe those are called fortifying nuts. And magic nuts, which increase your magic attack. Since we're going to be needing a lot of magic damage with Oswald, and yeah, a lot of physical damage thrown in as well. So this is another part of the mandatory side questing. Or yeah, getting stuff for side quests. Gonna run down to this guy. Ambush him to get him out of our way. Run inside real quick. And we can get the From the Far Reaches of Hell book, which is needed in the same side quest that the Dispatches from Beasting Isle as needed. So we're going to do a little bit of a menu here to turn Oswald now into our main guy for dealing with random encounters. We give him the Scorchbone Spear and Firestarter, and also things like Step Ahead, Boost Start, stuff like that. So this basically just turns him into our permanent Fire Soulstone, or like permanent large Fire Soulstone even. He kind of just makes quick work of all these encounters, even in the like fairly high level spaces. I ambush this guy to get him out of the way and move on to the Northern Montways Pass. We have to get him down, otherwise he'll just be like, "Hey, turn around. You know, you're not meant to be here. Go." So now running through here, we'll turn it to night just before we get an encounter, or don't. Oh no, I did turn it to night. I know there's some point where I forget to turn tonight, but yeah, it's not here. Yeah, Oswald is pretty strong. He'll be one of our main damage dealers when it comes to the final fight as well. Spoiler alert or something. So now our final book we need to gather around the world. This is Beneath the Great Wall, I think it's called. Legend of the Great Wall. From this man here. So now we have all we need for that quest, but we're still not ready. We've almost done all the prerequisite stuff for Galdera, it's just a little bit more we need now. About 5 minutes, we should technically have everything, and then we need to just get our final preparations ready, since it's a tough fight. If we're not fully prepared, we won't have enough damage to get through him. And if we can't do that, we're not going to be able to survive. Since everything is basically a one-shot, maybe a two-shot if we're lucky. So yeah, just need to make sure we're playing well around that. So going into Stormhail, a few more steals, a few more purchases, a little more side questing. So this guy here, make sure you steal the Magic Nut, and not the Shadow Soulstone. Don't be like me and kill her onto that. So just by purchasing that, we finish her side quest. Get more money than we bought it for, and also an alluring ribbon, I think it's called. Which means you're more likely to get random encounters. Which doesn't seem good, but since we're going to need to do a little bit of JP grinding later in the run, it's worth picking up. So now we've finally got all the travelers, 57 minutes in. We've now got Agnia, who is the dancer. Yeah, unfortunately she's not very useful, so we just pick her up super late. But we got her in the party for a little bit. So what Agnia can do is she can allure just random people, random NPCs to join her in combat. And that can also provide extra buffs alongside her buffs. So the dancer is the class that's really mostly about buffing. So she can do things like increasing physical attack, increasing elemental attack. And so by using a townsperson alongside that, we can get additional buffs as well, which can be pretty helpful. So we go to beneath the wall and shake the ground beneath to go into that little area, then warp immediately out and go to Sai. So we're going to change Oswald for Agnia and Hikari for Particio to get our party ready for the next couple fights. Steal this fortifying net, and we're also going to go to the warrior shrine, or the warrior guild rather. Oh yeah, steal an empowering lychee as well, and go to the warrior guild. So we can now use Hikari's class on everyone if we want to. So now we go to the Nameless Isle. There is a fight at the end of this section, but it is required to beat for getting to Galdera, so yeah, we gotta do it, basically. It's one of the few prerequisite things that's absolutely required. So the main reason we want the warrior class, not for not for any of the warrior skills themselves, but rather for the final passive skill, deal more damage. So by doing that, the damage cap is up from 9,999 to 99,999. So in these tougher boss fights, we can just get through way quicker, since they are definitely going to take quite a bit more than the damage cap to kill, and also since we can just really easily get the damage cap, we need to go a bit further. So it's probably one of the best skills for late game, since, yeah, you're just going to end up doing so much more damage with it. Give everyone a step ahead to prepare for this little boss fight against the Gigantes. It's got quite a lot of shield points, but just by playing well, using the aggressive slash to get 4 hits in, then using Oswald to get the rest. Use a Hideout Beastlings to get a solid chunk of damage through. That's like, yeah, basically doing damage caps. And then finish off with Temenos Mystical Staff. Doesn't quite damage cap, but still gets pretty damn close. Yeah, slight gold, like 5 seconds. Get the Finisher's Clause. This increases damage when dealing critical hits, so combined with Critical Scope, it can be very helpful. And we also just get this information how to decipher unknown languages. So what we can use that for is, that is for another one of the quests. So there are so I think it's 3 quests in total that are required to unlock the Galdera fight. So that first one with Al, and then 2 in the Montwise Library, which we will go to later. So on top of a battle arena, we've also got a library, of course. So you're running down here. This is where I forget to change it tonight before the encounter, so I have to kind of awkwardly back this up. Can't even remember what I did here. Oh yeah, I went for Hideout Guards, didn't I? But I just don't know if that's the right play. I'm trying to, in my head, trying to figure out if it's worth the extra money to spend. Then I advanced magic. Yes. Do I critical scope? Okay, I didn't. I feel like it would have made sense to you, but whatever. Then I don't quite get enough damage to kill with that, so... But I'm just about able to use the Mystical Staff to get through. Since this guy's also weak to Staff, I do extra damage that way, so that's nice. Get the Lost Tribe Staff. Equip it on Oswald, and also the Finisher's Clause on him. And also give him some magic nuts to give him just a little bit more magical damage. Yeah. Warrior class, unlock 4 skills, or 5 skills, so we can get deal more damage, and then go back to Arms Master. And then just put deal more damage on. I think that's the whole menu. Yep. So I think we do get one more encounter still, but it's pretty easy since we've given ourselves a bunch more damage. So the Lost Tribe Staff will increase Oswald's elemental damage by quite a bit. Advanced Magic is also a very cool thing that the Scholar has. What it does is it basically lets you attack twice in a turn, so deal double the damage in that turn basically, so it can be, yeah, very good. So Oswald's Latent Power, it does increase damage, but only to 1 target, since most of his skills are AoE. And then Temenos' Latent Power, what that does is it hits the weakness, so gets rid of their shield points no matter what they're weak to. So we can use that to get rid of the high shield counts of the Dreadwolf. And then use another Firestorm with Oswald, and then finish it off with just a quick Mystical Staff. And since we're always hitting the, since I use Critical Staff, I'm always hitting crits, and that's increasing Oswald's damage even further on top of using his Latent Power to have it only be single hit. So now we've gone back to Montmires, not quite ready to check in those quests just yet, but we're now going to head down and go get some more jobs. Go become employed. Pog.
Let the experiment begin.
Very well.
So yeah, over here is the Cleric guild, so we can make everyone, or we can get 2 jobs. So we can become the Cleric with 2 characters now. So before with jobs, unless you spend like extra time learning them, you're only able to put 1 extra person on the job. So with the Scholar Guild, I'm only able to have Temenos, and then I'm only able to have Temenos on Scholar, and then yeah, Oswald just by default. But we can unlock 2 licenses, which means we can have 2 other characters on top of Temenos being our Cleric, and that is going to be pretty useful to us. So something I haven't mentioned yet is Divine Skills. So once you learn all the other skills on a party member, or on a character for a specific job, you get what's called a Divine Skill, which is only usable at maximum boost, and is usually going to give a pretty powerful effect. And the one for the Cleric allows you to go again at the end of a turn, so it's very strong. Since it basically gives, yeah, another shot to get a bunch of damage in. So this is Al again, we're finishing his side quest and the one with the books, so now we are fully ready to go Galdera whenever we want. We're just not ready yet. And one of the things we got from the Dreadwolf is this item called the Stone of Truth, and what that does is it basically, so the advanced magic skill that just lets you attack twice in a turn, or yeah, have your magic hit twice, that sets it so it's permanent, which is really, really strong. So we now don't have to do anything fancy here.
My turn.
To get Firestorm, we just use it straight away, and we get 2 hits of fire damage. So start quick critical scope. And yeah, do another Firestorm, and that's literally all the damage you need to get through this just massive shark. And that's blocking the way to this little area, this curious nest. We'll have another boss fight at the end, another quick boss fight. That kind of just gets completely rolled by how broken this combat system can be.
My turn.
So this guy, these enemies will just die to a boost 4 Firestorm, so we just do that real quick, and that's, yeah, we're basically hitting the damage cap with that alone, which is crazy strong. So go into this section with the Tyanodrake. This guy has a set of, so every time you hit one of this guy's weaknesses, it'll become weak to something else. So we hit through all the physical weaknesses, and then we kind of just need to we need to get the rest of it down. So that is done by using Throné Latent Power, using 1 lance attack, and then using 4 more lance attacks.
Let me show you what I've reduced them to ash.
But since Oswald missed, and then finish it off with another Firestorm, and that's all the damage you need. So that's another boss fight down. Now we're doing a little mini grind here. I don't think I actually need to grind at all, since I think my JP's good. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it so basically every little bit of walking I do, I'm going to get some more encounters. So I'm going to give Temenos the Alluring Ribbon, which increases the encounter chance. And we're also going to take off evasive maneuvers from Temenos. And so at the start of our turns, it's only Oswald going. So I can just chuck a quick Firestorm on, and that's all the damage we need. There are a few chests scattered around this room, so Decaying Dragon Essences. Those are expendable items which once used will lower the select enemy's shield points by 4. For free. Doesn't matter what they're weak to, it'll just lower it by 4, whatever you do. Which can be very helpful since, yeah, Galdera has a lot of shields you need to break through. And you need to break through it, because if you get hit by Galdera, you're not surviving. So I think we're aiming for about 8k with Temenos, and I am well over that, so yeah, we're doing pretty good right now. It's still fine to be grinding here though, since I need more with Hikari anyway. Since there are still a little bit more grinding I need. So gonna go to Wellgrove. There's some useful items over here. Guy in the inn has something we need. I forget what it is. Sharp Nut, Diffusing Serum. It's good. And then this lady has a lychee, I think. Yeah. So now I'm gonna put Temenos in the party, or Particio in the party, since they need to get a bunch of JP, so that they can. So they have everything they need for the grind. And for like when they've unlocked the Cleric class. So mug this guy for a bunch of free loot. Really easy to do with Oswald. They do not put up a fight. Then we're going to put evasive maneuvers on him real quick. But we're going to be grinding straight away after anyway. So the Dancer Shrine. Get a dancer license, we can now teach someone how to be a dancer. So if we need buffs, that's what we'll use it. I don't think we actually use the dancer though. I think we just want it for a specific skill on the dancer, which I guess I'll explain in a sec. So we set up Particio sort of like how we had Temenos set up before. So Champion's Belt, Alluring Ribbon. So we can now not get ambushed and get a bunch of encounters all the time. And so we're basically going to be doing the same just on this ship again. Where we can just beat up these these enemies. I'm not actually sure what the difference between doing it in the ship and the nest is. I guess the ship's just like a high level area that's pretty quick to get to. I guess that's why we use it, since we need to grind with 3 characters and we can't get rid of Throné from the party, since that's what you can't do with like your protagonist, the characters whose chapter 1 you do fast. You can't get rid of them in the party until you finish that story. And then Oswald, we obviously need him for the grind. So the reason we pick up the Dancer is because of the support skill, the show goes on. So what that does is it means your buffs are able to last an extra turn from what they did before. So for things like the Cleric's Divine skill, which is also considered a buff, so it's a buff to have them go at the end of the turn, that lasts an extra turn then. So it can be very, very useful in just having your setups last slightly longer and just having them, walk out just how you want them to. So we're grinding to about 10k JP on both Particio and Hikari. Particio's good, Hikari still needs a little bit more. So we're just walking on that now. Yeah, just every fight, just boost Fireball ×2. That's all we need, that's all we need. Also, I'm hoping that the audio of this is good enough, or like the actual volume of the game, because I haven't actually tested it. I probably should have. That probably would have been smart, but I just wanted to start recording, so maybe that wasn't the smartest play. I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's fine. Alright, so I guess that's all I need. So off to Merry Hills, there's some more loot we can get here. And also a good dagger for Throné, since we need to get physical damage in as well. And since we can't... Since, what's it called? Hired Help sort of falls off. Once we get to a certain point, Hired Help definitely isn't as good as it could be. We need another way of getting around that. So the Diamond Dagger will suffice. So in terms of other skills, other divine skills, Throné is one of the best. So what Throné is Aba's Reckoning, which does AoE knife damage. Or AoE dagger damage. Which is based on her speed stat. And since we are putting all the effort in our speed onto Throné, and putting a lot of effort into just getting her being as fast as possible, it is gonna be strong. It is gonna be very, very powerful. So it's just a case of getting all that damage, and yeah, hopefully it's enough. And it will be, because this run is PBing. Smile. These menus I'm always bad at. Part of the reason I was bad at it today, or when I did this run, I may be making excuses, but my hands were kind of cold, so I was kind of just messing that up. When I shouldn't have been, really. Hikari now, and yeah, learn the first two dancer skills to get Show Goes On, and then learn all of the Cleric skills. So I can use Elfric's Blessing, which is the divine skill, and do the same with Partitio. They're both going to be chilling on the Cleric. And yeah, just using Elfric's Blessing to let our other party members get more turns. Learn Aba's Reckoning, put her on Art Master, just strong, strong class. And then, yeah, learn some skills. Show Goes On, step ahead. Change your party around to get these other guys up to scratch. So Agnia, Temenos, and Ochet are all going to be added to the party now, and we're going to make them a bit more useful in combat. So Ochet is going to be our merchant. We're going to learn a few skills on her for that. What do I do? Oh yeah, learn Show Goes On with Temenos as well, and then put it back to Scholar. And then put Agnia on Inventor. That's going to be our final class. Then equip Grows on Trees and Boost Start. Boost Start and Step Ahead rather on Agnia. Then we're going to swap some things around with Temenos. So we want Evasive Maneuvers, Step Ahead, Show Goes On, I think. Yep. Then Step Ahead on Agnia. Put in Oswald over Ochet, and then go to the inn. So inning, I don't know if I've mentioned this, but yeah, it basically works as a full heal, including latent power. So by doing this, we get everyone's latent power up to what it should be. Which is max before the fight. And then this random guy has some magic nuts on him, or some kind of nuts. So we're going to beat him up with Oswald. And then we're going to dump all our nuts on our party members now. So max SP, physical attack to Throné, magic attack to Oswald, and then accuracy, critical rate, and speed will go on to Throné as well. And then do we do anything? Oh yeah, change our equipment around somewhat. So we're going to give some better accessories to people. We now want Throné to be doing as much damage as possible, so we're going to give her Champion's Belt and Fang of Ferocity, which increases boosted damage. And we're going to put the XP Augmenter and JP Augmenter on Temenos instead. Is that it? Nope. Okay. Oh yeah, we're going to give her the stuff like deal more damage and peak performance, just to make her a bit stronger in these situations. So peak performance, step ahead, deal more damage, I think. Yeah, okay. And make sure Oswald's dealing more damage as well. So we now go back to Beasting Bay Anchorage. This is our final little bit before full Galdera now. One more boss fight that's blocking our way. We need to get through this guy before we can actually get to the spot where Galdera's at. So this guy, Scourge of the Sea, he goes down really quick. Because you've got some silly, strong attacks. Energizing Pomegranate so Throné can use her Ava's Reckoning this turn. God, it's so dumb. And then Firestorm, and yeah, since we're critting both those attacks as well, it's insanely good damage. But before we do that, we need to learn one last class. To get one last class. With getting an encounter in the way, of course, naturally. So on this place called the Lost Isle, there's like a whole little maze section. It's like, oh wow, a maze, wow, isn't that exciting? And then it turns out the solution is just to go to the start and go on this little small, barely visible pathway, and that's actually how you get the class, not through the actual maze. But we're gonna go through it a little bit since there are some chests here, and in these chests there is some useful items. So we just want one. What we get from here is Ancient Curse Talisman, which basically has the effect of reducing physical defense, magic defense, all of that stuff. Yeah, just makes them really weak to anything. All enemies really weak to everything, so that'll be a nice way to get some extra damage in when we can't really usually. So now we are going to this island called question mark, question mark, question mark. This is where we will find the final fight against Galdera, with hardly any of the game actually completed. Basically the minimum required. So this class, the Arcanist, we're not actually going to use it for anything, except its skill Price of Power. So what Price of Power does, it doubles the cost of magic attacks, but it also doubles their damage, or yeah, increases their damage quite a lot. So it will basically turn Oswald into even more of a powerful damage dealer, basically. So learn the final few skills we need. Learn a couple with Agnia, so we get Show Goes On. Learn Elfric's Blessing with Temenos, and then start moving our final skills around with Throné and Oswald. So we have everything we need. So Oswald, Price of Power as well. So we're now heading to the Gate of Finish. I see I'm on 129 BPT and I get nervous. And I run up to the fight without saving because I want to save as much time as possible to try and clutch it out. And then I miss input because I'm great at this game. So we set up our final party very particularly. This fight against Galdera is set into 2 phases, and you have to choose 2 parties to do them. So the first one, our main damage is going to be coming from Oswald. And yeah, the order of this will like lead to the order in what's it called, with like Elfric's Blessing and stuff, so it's very particular we do it this way. So here we can see Agnia acting again at the end of the turn, and I use an Empowering Light Sheet on Particio. I meant to use a Pomegranate on him, so I have to just reset the fight. And that's how I lost sub 130. Well done, well done. So yeah, I just have to run up again, sit through this screen, and it's really, really cringe. Set up a party again. But yeah, the main thing we're looking for in this fight, or in this first phase against the Eye, is just to get as much latent power Oswald in with Firestorm as possible. So that is 2 lots of really high single target damage. And the gimmick of these fights is, or this fight in particular, is these souls, if you're not hitting their elemental or their actual weakness, they will hit you and probably deal a lot of damage to you, and in this situation, kill you. So we want to avoid that as much as possible, so we're able to use these beastlings to hit their weakness no matter what, and break them, meaning they can't attack. So now we've gotten that, it's just a case of getting rid of them now before they get out of their break. But Elfric's Blessing on Oswald, so we can go at the end of the turn. Use the critical scope with Agnia, and use her latent power so it targets everyone. And then Peacock Strut on Oswald, so he gets elemental damage up. And then a Firestorm will get rid of these guys really easily. So now the goal is to use guards to get the eye to the end of the turn, since that's another effect of them, so they deal staff damage and hit them to the end of the turn. Decaying Dragon's Essence to break them through. Or, yeah, break the eye, and then Revitalizing Jam on Oswald. Ancient Curse Talisman to weaken it to everything, and then full boost. Latent Power Firestorm does 600,000 damage. Lamau, or 6... Is it 600,000 or... No, it's 60,000. So Reinforcing Jam, full boost points, and the other one, Latent Power. Veteran Soldiers and Foreign Assassins with latent, with Hired Help. Gets rid of a bunch of HP, and then another set of Reinforcing Jam plus Latent Power Firestorm. Gets a bunch of damage. So does so much damage here that we skip through a bunch of phases on the eye. So we go into the very last phase where it gets 16 shield points. And there are now 4 sets of attacks. So we need to send... we need to defend with Agnia and Particio and deal 12 shield points with just 2 characters. So Elemental Bomb Bottle gets rid of 8 of them, and then if I can Latent Power to get full BP, and then Foreign Assassins with Particio, that gives the last 4. And then what I do with Ochet, actually use my Empowering Light this time to get Latent Power Oswald, and then do my last boosted Firestorm, boost Latent Power Firestorm, and that's the fight. Skip the cutscene, so now we're in the second phase, where our big damage is all just coming from Throné. So I can use her Latent Power, and then I can use a Reinforcing Jam to fill up her boost points and Latent Power again, and Aba's Reckoning to get a really high amount of damage to everyone. So since I have both Temenos and Particio, or not Particio, Hikari on Cleric, I can just spam Elfric's Blessing and basically get a full turn at the end after like 2 turns. So I can do the same thing again where I just Reinforcing Jam, Latent Power, use Cassidy's Concoct, so give everyone 2 BP and send them to the front of the queue. Use another Aba's Reckoning, and this will kill the like all the different parts of Galdera, and then it's just his full like body left. So the main part of Galdera. So give some more Elfric's Blessings to everyone. So we've now basically got a full turn at the end of our turn again. Just no Hikari. So 20 shield points. This is going to be quite hard to get. So we need to, be pretty careful about this. Revitalizing Jam Throné to fill up her SP again, since we've lost quite a lot from Aba's Reckoning. Give everyone 2 BP and move them to the front, like we did at the other turn. Decaying Dragon's Essence with Cassidy to get another 4. 4 with Hikari. Armor Corrosive to weaken physically, get another 4, and then use Temenos' Latent Power plus Elemental Barrage to get through the rest of those hits. Then what I can do is I can give a pomegranate to Throné, give her max BP, let her use another Aba's Reckoning. And then what I can do with Cassie is I can concoct to give her more BP, move her to the end of the turn, and increase her strength. So then what I can do here, give her 2 Empowering Light Cheese to get her latent power to full, and use another pomegranate to get her BP up. So what I can do here, latent power, Swift Step to increase her speed, making Aba's Reckoning do more damage, and then use another Aba's Reckoning on this turn to get a bunch of damage in. And then use another Energizing Pomegranate here, use my last one, and use one final Aba's Reckoning on the broken, weakened Galdera, and that is the kill.
And so it goes.
And that is the run in a few seconds, once I skip through these cutscenes and just get the item at the end. So that's time. So 1:30:47. It's a pretty solid round for my standards at least. I definitely want to improve it to sub 1:30 and maybe even try pushing it to the like 1x's at some point, or lower 2x's at least. But yeah, I've only been running this for a little bit, and I think this is a pretty good time. I think it's still technically last place, but it's only 12 minutes off record, so or like 12 minutes off record, so not too terrible. I should show my frame rate at some point. This is on 120 FPS rather than 60. It just makes things like the game overall faster. So since I can run at 120, I run at 120. And yeah, that is Galdera. I will probably submit this to like marathons, mainly ES Day, I think. So yeah. hopefully, if you watched the submission video, you enjoy the run, or if you just watched it for fun for some reason. Watch this run for fun for some reason. Yeah, hope you enjoyed. Yeah, thank you. Bye bye.